2024 will hugely favor NIO in terms of taxes. All right, it's going to be a big catalyst for sales going forward. So starting on January 1st of 2024, there's going to be purchase taxes on all new energy vehicles, but there is an exemption of 30,000 RMB, which means, in layman's terms, if the price of the car is over 340,000 RMB, then you will have to start paying taxes. Under that price, you don't pay taxes, pay purchase tax. All right. So here is a chart that I got online, and this is the different vehicle name on the left, the price of the car, the unit is every 10k RMB, and then we have the purchase tax before the reduction exemption, and then over here you have the column where it says 2024 to 2025 after reduction. This is what the taxes that you could pay. And then on the far right column we have 2026 to 2027. That's what the price that you'll have to pay after reduction. So right on the chart you can see the L9 Max, you can expect to pay starting next year 10,690 RMB in purchase tax. The L7 Pro 1,841, 87 7,876 starting. So that's how much you start based on the price of the car and what options you choose. The ES8 14,071 and above based on what kind of options you get. And some other guys on this list: G6 965, the Taycan Turbo 104,336. So that's a very hefty amount of tax. Now the catch is it's based on the receipt price, and it hugely benefits BaaS, battery as a service, because with that you're able to subtract 70,000 RMB off the purchase price and just rent the battery, and that 70,000 battery cost is not included when you calculate the taxes. So for example, if you have a NIO that costs 400,000 RMB and you just buy it straight up, you buy the battery as well, then you can pay you can expect to pay taxes. But if you rent the battery, that pushes the price down to 330,000 RMB, which is below that threshold, and you can basically not pay taxes on that purchase. So here is an interesting real life example. The ES8 cost 518k RMB, and with that, that's with the battery included. All right, you can expect to pay 15,841, but if you go with BaaS, you only pay 9,204 in purchase tax. You save about 6,637 straight up by going with BaaS, by renting the battery. This is a huge thing for NIO, in my opinion, because let's not forget that these taxes, purchase tax in general, will really hurt EV sales, especially the more expensive ones like NIO. But this really helps NIO out. And if somebody's in the market for a car, EV that's like in the 400k range, then going for BaaS is pretty much a no-brainer, because you save so much just from the purchase tax. This is also one of the reasons that NIO is pushing right now, to let people know that, you know, right now there's still zero taxes on all vehicle purchases. So go for the car right now, because next year some vehicle models will get taxed. Now, even though this caveat is very beneficial for NIO, I think in general it is just miles different from when I bought the car. When I bought the car, or when I bought this car, guys, not only was it tax exempt, I paid zero for taxes for income, for purchase tax, because that's just what it was back then. There was also a 30,000 RMB subsidy. So think about the difference back then versus in 2024, where you also have to pay taxes and there's no subsidy. It's just a huge difference. There's a huge incentive back then to buy EVs, and especially like NIOs, and a lot of people did pull the trigger because of that, like me as well. Now, even though adding taxes, of course, a slight negative, right, it makes the cars more expensive, but it is nice that this overall is a slight positive for NIO, because you're able to utilize BaaS and get that tax exemption. Now, those taxes might not seem like a whole lot, but the real interesting thing is in 2026 to 2027, that's when you see the tax exemption get cut in half, 15K only. And that means that for the ET7, you can expect to pay $22,876 in RMB in taxes, and ES6 $14,912, and the ET5 $11,372, ES8 $29,071. That's a decent chunk of money just going away to taxes, and definitely this would not benefit. This would do the opposite of incentivizing EV purchases, especially on the more expensive end of cars like NIOs. So all the incentivized growth in the past couple years, well, that's pretty much the pushed forward growth, pushed forward demand from all the incentives, no tax and subsidy. And with that going away, it's just going to be natural growth, which depends more on having great tech, having great vehicles, and great infrastructure, which I think NIO is working hard towards, and NIO is almost getting there. All right. One thing I do have to note is that the cars right now that are being sold, they don't have the 8295 chip, which is getting all the rage and all the rave. People want that 8295 chip. So I guess, in a sense, NIO has to really get their act together, speed up the push out for this car. Also, the ES7 refresh, the new 2024 version of the ES7, that's definitely coming with matrix headlights and better developed seats, comfortable seats. And along with that, I think NIO might have to also come out with a upgrade package for existing ES7 owners, so that they have like a way of upgrading their car and not get pissed, because back then when ES6 was launched, ES7 owners were really upset. All right. What I really hope to see China do is mandate the gasoline license plate restriction, driving restriction, because right now here in Beijing and in several other big cities, if you have a gasoline car, you're only allowed to drive 6 days of the week. And there's one day where you're not allowed to drive. And if you do drive, you get fined money, because it's just to reduce traffic jams and also limit pollution. So if they're able to mandate this across the entire country, that would be really beneficial for EV sales. And also, I mean, if they're removing incentives for EVs, they got to do something to make up for the lost demand, because I think what China really needs to do is expand the gasoline restriction, the gasoline car driving restriction, from 1 day per week to 2 days a week. That would be really crazy for some people, but I think that would really push a lot of people to buy an EV. So make no mistake, these taxes coming in is bad for everyone, but it's benefits NIO more than the other guys. All right. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.